Hey everybody, it's Robin. I hope you're doing well. It's Wednesday, Thursday. It's Wednesday. It's Wednesday. I'm telling you, this has been my first, from my last Thursday algebra class till today. It's been crazy for me because I had a test in my algebra class Thursday. I don't have classes on Friday, but I had something going on. My daughter Shelby, we were in Maryland this weekend for her softball tournament. She plays travel softball. I brought my things to study because I had 3 tests this week. 3. I had one yesterday in sociology. It was the first test we've ever had in there so far. I've been in school a month, so it was through chapters 1 through 5. And then I had today, I had a big test in composition. I also got my rough draft essay back, and I had my 3rd clinical math test today. So I'm going to start off with, I guess, the bad news. So Thursday I take this algebra test, and I told you my very first test I was quite surprised. I was very pleased. I got a 90, I think 0.86 or whatever, and I went in for chapter 2. I think there were like 6 units in chapter 2. The last 2 were kind of tricky, but I was well prepared. My husband helped me out quite a bit on things I was a little shaky on, so, you know, confident there. Did all the practice problems, did the quizzes, did all my homeworks online, did well with the quizzes and with the homework. And I go in and I start looking at this test. It was 3 pages. Well, it was 2 sheets of paper, but 3 sides, so it wasn't huge. And I answer the first couple, and then I get to one, and I'm like, what the hell is that? Did I just say, what the heck is that? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It startled me, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And so I continued, so I circled that one. I said, I'll come back to that one. I'm not going to panic, you know. And then after that, it just got harder and harder, and I let this get in the way, and I just kind of tanked. But I worked hard. I showed my work. I left there thinking, I'm going to get a C. There's no way I'm going to be able to pull out a B. If I do a B, it's going to be a low B, but I feel confident at least I'm going to get a C. No. The next morning I woke up and I looked online and I failed the test. And I was like devastated because I didn't think I failed it. And I didn't prepare to fail. I mean, I prepared well. So I'm like, how did I fail it? And so I was, you talk about this weekend, bummed. I was completely, I mean, I know things are going to happen, but already, you know, I'm just like, I worked so hard, and I'm like, I was a little upset with myself, and you know, my husband came downstairs, and he asked me if I heard anything yet, and I said, yeah, and I told him, and he was like, really? Well, you know, so we kind of talked about it a little bit, and then Shelby comes out, and I didn't know, her room was kind of back in the hallway, and I was kind of quiet, because I was like, I mean, the kids like to know how I'm doing in school, but kind of, they don't really ask all the time. And she came out, and she said, Mommy, I heard you talk to Dad. And so she gave me a hug. It was really very sweet. And then she started parenting me. I was just looking at this 15-year-old going, and she was very sweet, and she kind of, because I was in my chair, and I was just kind of, you know, leaning, like, I'm sure my eyes were glossy because I was just upset with myself. And, you know, she gave me the hug, and she was kind of kneeling in front of me, and she was holding my hand, you know, and she's like, well, what you need to do, she has trouble in school, I mean, she gets good grades, but the child has to work her tuchus off, and she goes, what you need to do is you need to get with your teacher right away. I don't know when your next class is, but you need to email him, and you need to tell him that, you know you can do better, and can you possibly take a retest, and if you can't, then is there extra credit you can do or something because you really want a good grade? I mean, this child, and she was like, I know you work really hard. You know, she's like, you're always doing homework now. That's like all you do. I kind of felt bad about that. But she's like, it'll get better, Mommy. It'll get better. And I'm just like, I raised a good kid. I did. But anyway, so that was my bummer for the week. I had class yesterday. My algebra class, and I walked in, And as people were trickling in and they were kind of like, oh, how'd you do? We all failed the test. Every single one of us. And I'm like, well, how does that happen? And I guess someone had emailed him during the weekend. This is the first time he's taught our class. He usually teaches higher up math. And so he just was taking the math tests from the department and administering them to us. And, you know, he covers everything in the objectives and such. And come to find out there were like 5 or 6 things on there that we didn't cover. Because I was like, I even came home and looked in the book to try and find some answers to some things or some examples. I'm like, I don't remember them asking that or rule to that. I don't remember a rule of whatever this was. And yeah, so he's going to let us retest. But rules of the school are we can only get an 83. But you know what? It's better than a 64, which is what I got. I hope to God I never see another 64. And come to find out, I did better. There was a young man in my class who does very well, and he got a 44. Some other girls got 60s and such. So according to my class, I did better, but we all failed. So, and someone else said, you know, if the test wasn't that long and there were 5 or 6 questions that you didn't even cover, that's 5 or 6 on that automatic zeros. That probably brought you down. She said, what you did do, you probably did well or decent. So, I mean, you know what? I'll retest. I'll take the B 83. But he's going to start making our tests. He said he's going to start making the test. So I'm like, thank you. So anyway, that was my for the week. So this weekend I tried to study the absolute best I could for my sociology test. Like I said, I knew it was going to be big. He plays Jeopardy with us as a review, which is kind of fun. It's long, so it's not like we can get up there and really like play the game, but he goes through the questions and then you know, we answer as best as we can. And I printed out all of those. Let me see if I can find it. I printed all those out. Well, I kind of copied and pasted them. Kind of a cheat sheet. So I copied and pasted them into Word, and then I wrote the answers down as we were playing in class, even though I have them in my notes. But so I didn't go searching for them, you know, and I knew a lot of them anyway. But when I was studying off this thing, my eyes kept wandering to the answer, so I would kind of cover up the answer with a piece of paper. I just ended up making note cards. So I made some note cards, and I want to show you those. Hold on. Because look, when you study note cards, and if I didn't study them this way, I tell you what, I would not have done well on that test. Okay. So on my note card, and I'm sure some of this is redundant to most of you, but I'm going to go through it anyway. So on one side, I wrote out the, excuse the messy handwriting, but I wrote out the definition like he had it on Jeopardy, and of course on the back, I wrote the correct answer. Well, after a while, I was like, you know what? I know everything by reading the definition, you know, and I'm like, oh, that's language. Yeah, I'm right. Well, my husband said, well, turn the cards around and learn them that way. And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, well, it says language. Now can you verbatim give the definition? And I'm like, great, thanks, you brat. Now I have to, but he was right. I had to learn backwards. Once you learn one way, turn it around and learn it the other way. There were questions in here. What's, in the 8 steps of research, what's the step before forming your hypothesis? Well, that would be, forming your hypothesis is step 4. So step 3 was to review literature that's already been done on it, you know. But I'm like, you know what? What if he asked me another step? So I wrote all 8 steps down. I learned all 8 steps. Well, yesterday in the quiz on the test, he didn't ask about step 3 like he did on Jeopardy. He said list 5 other steps in order, you know, whatever. And some people are like, you didn't ask us that. You didn't, you know, whatever. I tell you. So I'm glad I learned these note cards the way I did. Frontward, backward. There were also definitions where he had the definition, but he would leave words out and you had to fill them in. He actually did. I still reread my notes, went through my notes It didn't rely solely on these. People who have had his classes before say, oh, just learn the Jeopardy questions. There were things that were in my notes that were not on the Jeopardy question that he asked, but I knew. And I aced it. I got a 100. I couldn't believe it. I was so excited. I was like, thank gosh, because we only have 3 tests in there. There's 75% of our grade total. So that one test was 25% of my grade. And yesterday when people were going up and handing in their paper, some were getting done in 20 minutes. I'm like, and there were 50 questions on that test. I'm like, how are they? You know, I'm halfway done. And he's like, no, go back. And they're like, that's all I know. He's like, try, just go sit. We've gone all through this. We've gone through our notes. We've played Jeopardy. Try. And some just left. Some tried to sit back down. So I just took each question as it came. But I have to say, it was. I don't want to say difficult, and I don't want to say easy. But I knew the information, thank goodness. So I know for the next 2 tests what I need to do. And I'm going to continue because that worked really, really well for me. Today I had 2 tests. I had a grammar quiz in competition. Oh my gosh, my brain is just not working. In composition. And, stop laughing at me, Ty. I know you're laughing at me. Renee, you too. Anyway, not sure. He hasn't posted it yet. I took it this morning. What's taking him so long? It's 1:40. Come on. No, so I don't know what I got in that. But I took my clinical math test right after, and it was our 3rd test in there. It's actually medical related. I'm so excited. It was learning different syringes, and we had to, you know, if you're going to fill this syringe to 2.4 milliliters, where is that? Or, you know, so you had to draw the line and mark it or whatever, and medicine cups and spoons, and then doctor's orders, what's missing, what are the 6 patient rights, what are 7 parts of doctor orders, and then it was interpreting abbreviations. She would give abbreviations, and you had to write out what it was for, and then she would give you like intramuscular, and you had to give the abbreviation, things like that. I knew it all. I aced that one too. I was like, thank goodness, you know, because I really needed it after that algebra fiasco. So, aced sociology, aced the test 3 for clinical math. I think my average in there now is a 95%. I just need to know English. I did get my diagnostic essay back from him. We had individual appointments with him. It was just knowledge based. There was no research to this paper. He just wanted to know where we were at. And we had to do a peer review and then make corrections. And then turned in our paper. He made some corrections. I have like maybe 3 or 4 tiny things to fix, and that's it. So I fixed them. I could either take that grade, which I think it was a B. I could take that grade, or I can go back and make those corrections and turn it back in, along with the rough draft, or the draft that he wrote on, which absolutely I'm going to do. Why wouldn't I do that? For a final grade. So I really think I could pull an A out there, which would be wonderful. So don't get discouraged. You know, ups and downs. I was doing really well, so when I failed that test, it really hit me hard. I was disappointed with myself. I still haven't seen the test because some people in our class didn't take it yet, so we weren't able to look at it. But he is going to give us that opportunity to look at it. He is going to take those things off that we did not cover, and we will be allowed to retake it, so I'll let you know how I do with that. I kind of hate that, though, because now we're still moving on, and I have to retest on something back. I just don't want to get muddled in my head, but I'm going to do what I have to do. So, you know, if you have a setback, let it go, because stressing over it is just going to hinder what's coming. I found that out. It was very hard for me to study this weekend for my sociology test because of that bad grade with the algebra. So, you know, let things go. I'm going to do a couple, excuse the hair, I got rained on today. Coming out of class it was pouring, so I'm looking a little whoop-defied here. But we're getting to be family, so it's all good. Wait till you see me without my makeup. Then you know we're tight. Anyway, I'm going to make a new video here in a little bit. I hope all is well. Rate, comment, and subscribe if there's anything you want me